Okay, let's do something. All right, first I gotta do this. I have to adjust this. It's gonna drive me crazy if I don't. Okay, we'll start the recording after that point if we put this class online. Bring everything to the center. Allow your feet to touch, and then push your head top up to the highest point. And imagine that there's only one you. There's only one body. So forget about all of the parts in between. Humans like to subdivide things up into parts and say we have feet and legs. But imagine there's just one you. And so gripping your feet and pushing the head top up as if you're expanding the whole thing, just the one you internally. And then breathing, allow your arms to float and bring them together in the center. Let your shoulders relax, let your elbows relax. And then go back to the feeling of the vertical energy. For any of you that like science fiction, even if you don't like science fiction, everybody has seen Star Trek and Star Wars where they have a teleportation device and it's represented by some bars of vertical light. So imagine internally, you can let your shoulders relax. Imagine you can take your body offline and expand the center. And then just check the two ends, the top and the bottom, the Tai Chi extremes, the very bottoms of your feet. You can activate your toes and then you can release them a little bit. You can find the same power relaxed. And then pushing up through the head top, the very tippy top, the crown chakra. And take a deep breath, relax. We're going to start with some breathing. So take a comfortable stance and then inhaling and then exhaling. So the same thing, imagine that there's just one you. Instead of subdividing the body into different pieces, even internally and externally, we say we have lungs. Imagine that there's just one breathing. So when you breathe, the whole body, from the fingertips to the toes, head top to the bottom, inflates. Imagine that you're filling up with air. You know, when you're thirsty and you take a big chug of water, imagine that you can chug the air. And go at your own pace. Fully inflate. And when we exhale on these, we're not going to full deflation. Don't completely run out of gas. But you can overfill. In fact, just like on your car, when you fill the gas tank and there's a sensor on the gas nozzle that tells you when it's full. The same thing when you fill your lungs, when you reach the top the breathing will become segmented. There's a at the top. So we're looking for that type of breathing. For those of you that study yoga, they call it Ujjayi breathing. You can look it up. Sometimes I don't focus on the technical, I want you to feel it. So just imagine that you're chugging the air. Keep the tongue connected to the upper palate. We're using the nose to breathe. And it shouldn't be labored in any way. This should be relaxed. You can imagine your favorite drink and you like to have as much of it as you can. So the same thing. If you had your favorite drink and you could chug it, it would probably make you smile. So you have as much air as you like. Do 2 more of these. And then when you're done, bring your feet back to the center. Allow them to touch. And then sit your pelvis directly over top of where your feet are. Allow your tailbone to relax. And then set your shoulders directly in center line over top of the hips. Allow your shoulders to roll back and relax. And then the same thing with your head top. Actively place it into the correct position vertically. We may use a lot of terminology to describe what's happening, saying straighten the neck, but there's a feeling. So breathing deep, bring the hands back to the center. And then let's review the Tai Chi ideas that we're talking about when we talk about Tai Chi harmony. You can apply them to everything that you do. And if you do, the activity will improve. So the head top going up. And when we say it's going up, this is because our general position is upright. But if we change that position, if we start to lean, we should still have the energy going forwards in that way, right? And when we do Tai Chi, if we do some particular posture, if we tilt, we want to keep it upright. But even if we tilt, because the leg conditioning isn't correct, we should still keep the neck straight. So the head top, the power is going up, vertical energy. And then relax your brow, your forehead. You can relax some of the skin on your head if you imagine wiggling your ears. You can raise and lower your eyebrows a few times and feel where there's tension on the head top. And then open your vision. You should be able to see 180 degrees. Open your nostrils and your sinuses. Relax the front of your face. Check to see that you have a half smile as the minimum. There's acupressure points right on the corners. You can just activate those. The tongue is connected to the upper palate. We want the tongue to be relaxed so the energy can move down to the center. The neck is straight. We still have the curvature in the neck, but the feeling is that it's straight. And you can think of pulling your ears back up over your shoulders while keeping the chin tucked. So as if you're putting it up onto a shelf and it sits level. Relax the shoulders. We're using the abs to support so they're lightly engaged. Relax your tailbone. The legs aren't locked. We have the knees bent at a slight angle, and feel power in your ankles so that they're not expanding outwards or folding in, but sitting in the correct place. Pull your heels forward and pull your toes back. And see if you can maintain all of those same ideas, but relaxed. So go back through and you can make micro adjustments. Can you relax your shoulders even more? There's a space in the armpit. We should have this feeling of roundness in the upper body. Even if the hands are resting here, the elbows, the shoulders are expanded. So take a deep breath, relax. We want to try to keep those same ideas. So we're going to do a little bit of X-stepping. We can come back to stretch because I want to stretch out. But keeping those same ideas. Now when we step, gripping the ground, relax your tailbone. Keep everything vertical. Imagine the vertical energy traveling at your center. So activate your feet. Every time that you step. So when we practice Tai Chi, we're carrying all of these ideas, this one posture. You can use it for standing meditation, for the alignment, and you can use it when you practice anything. Whether you like to golf, if you like to surf, if you have to stand for a long time working on something, whether it's a profession or hobby, or sit sometime at a desk, same thing. When you're thinking about whatever it is that you're doing, if you add these ideas, you'll improve your posture, your health, your ability to breathe, your digestion, everything improves. Let's actually stretch just for a little bit. And so with the head top up, take one hand, reach across behind, and like you're gripping the ear and breathing deep, the same long breathing that we started with, the kind that tops out. Like you're stretching in the morning, reach out in line. So try to line up your nose with your thumb, with the elbow in the back. And then relax and come back to the center. The same thing, grip the ear, push up through the head top, pull the elbow back, as if you're reaching through your fingertips. Breathing all the way full, and then relax. Come back to the center. We're going to do an interesting exercise. For the head turns, if we're turning the head, you want to imagine the same thing, that you're pushing up through the head top, and keep the base of the shoulders relaxed. So feel, if you touch your shoulders, imagine that all of the tendons from your shoulders, from the outer edges of your shoulders to your head top, like one piece. You can think of it like a triangle or a cone, and that you want to lock the base of the cone. You can think of it like a pyramid. It's a three-dimensional shape. And then if you lock the base of it, that you can stretch all of the components between the base and the top. And then I want you to take your hands and move them to your waist so that and now the same thing, I want you to imagine from your waist to your head top, when we do these head turns, that you can feel that you're turning, that you're pulling the tendons from your head top all the way to your waist, around all the sides and portions of your body. So pushing up, trying to expand that, and also turning it. You can change directions. You'll feel immediately areas in your back, front, sides that are tight. And now one more time, we can't put our hands there, but I want you to imagine the base as your feet. And so now when you turn your head top, I want you to feel it all the way down to your feet. We started the class talking about there's just one you. So imagine by turning the head top, like if you have a towel that has fibers that run the whole length, If you just twist one end, the other end will be affected. So lock your feet, have your power is going all the way up, extending. And so turning around the top, change directions if you haven't. Remember to breathe and feel the pull from the head turning all the way down to the feet. And then when you come back to the center, relax, take a deep breath. How many can feel it? Can you feel? Yeah, show of hands, right? So this kind of thing is valuable. You can, by the way, you can take this idea into all of your whatever practices you do. If you're practicing yoga, if you practice other type of kung fu or martial art, this stretching of the whole body at one time. Next, doing some shoulder rolls. So make these slow and soft. If a lot of people suffering from shoulder injuries, this type of thing. So imagine when you're turning this, making the circle as large as possible, using as little effort as you can. So breathing deep, you can tie it in with the breathing. And then change directions. The same thing. Try to reduce the amount of tension in the muscles that pulls up. And then next, we're going to turn around the center. So just like we did a second ago, from your feet to your hips, lock that whole lower portion, and we're just going to turn. So pushing up through the head top, relax your shoulders. And on this one, I want you to feel like the energy is traveling away from the center line. So imagine again, the vertical beam of light in the center. We want to keep that elongated and keep the arms turning out from the center. Imagine you want to allow your arms to become dislocated from your torso. If you can do that with this exercise, I would be impressed. That would mean you're too flexible. And then we're going to bring everything back to the center. Oh, you know what? Let's do one more before we do that one. Is just turning around the hips. So grip your feet. The same thing. Keep the upper body in line. So keep your neck straight. Sometimes if you're inclined to look at the camera, like you know how pigeons when they walk, they do this thing. So or owls, if you turn an owl, their head will stay facing the same. Don't do that. Instead, keep your upper body in line. Breathing deep. At least keep your neck straight. And it's your stretch, so if it feels like you want to work in one particular area or another, that's fine. And then bring the feet together in the center. Allow them to touch. We're going to go back to Tai Chi Harmony. So grip the feet, lock the waist so that it's facing in one direction. We're going to turn, breathing, turning around the center. Turn the back, the neck, the head, and then let the eyes continue, and following the breathing, come back to the center. We'll do a couple of these, and then you can practice on your own. So locking the lower body. This is just turning around the center, turning the spine, the back. Keep your hands in front of the sternum. Don't allow them to drift, to push more. Pushing up, looking past, and then breathing deep, coming back to the center. And then follow the breathing, inhaling to turn and expand. Go at your own pace. And then exhaling, coming back to the center. If you can really relax, you should feel your back is tight. So turning, and then come back to the center. pushing up through the head top, relax your tailbone. This is to unwind your back. When you finish this one, I'm not counting, I'm not keeping track of how many you've done, so try to balance it out, do some on both sides. If you don't, that's okay too. The goal for this exercise, turning, is how many can feel your back in a different way right now? You should feel all of that stuff that's back there. So it's two things. Not only does it, by turning it like that, just we used a towel earlier as an example, the same if when we twist our back, we don't want to twist the legs though. So we want to especially protect the knees on that one. If for a more advanced exercise, you can lock one leg and start to turn the heel so that you can twist more. We'll work up to that. But for now, you should at least feel your back in a new way. Once you realize where the problem is, then you can go to eliminate it. Speaking of knees, bring the feet together. Just rub your knees. And then for the ankle, the same thing. I want you to lock one foot in place, and we're going to turn the heel. So if I use the light, I'm just turning a circle with my heel. You can grip your toes lightly, but use this to find the full rotation of your heel and allow your ankle. The heel is making the circle, the ankle is what we're trying to work out here. So keep your toes. And then on the other side, grip the foot, relax the turning leg, and see if you can, almost as if you're trying to roll on the outer circumference of the shoe. Turning. And then come back to the center. So last Sunday's class, we were talking about something from the third section. So if you weren't there, that's okay, because it's online, and we're going to review it again today, and we're going to tie it into something that we do in the warm-up exercise, which is the X-stepping. And so this is getting into, I want to talk about relaxed power versus making sort of a tense power. Tai Chi uses both. It's a yin and yang. And studying the martial arts via a camera format is challenging a little bit. We can't say, here's the person's arm and we're going to twist it this way, or we're going to be striking here and blocking this way, because camera angles and there's no person there. So that can be a challenge, but we can still work on other aspects of it. And in the Mandarin terminology, they have something called Fa Jing, which is Fa Jing means display of power. So we can work on our power and our timing. And one of the ways we're going to do it is use the X-stepping with this turning, just like we were doing this turning around the center, but we're going to tie it together with snake flashing its tongue from the third section. So find a space where you have a few feet by a few feet square, and then standing in the center. This is a basic X-stepping exercise. So we want everything to be lined up. We want the tailbone to be relaxed, the feet gripping at all times. And we're just going to start with just a basic step. So almost at a walking pace, stepping to each corner. It doesn't have to be perfect, but try to line up your feet to be parallel on each step. And so going forward, center, rear right, center, rear left, front right, front left, rear right. So this is about the pace, just like you're walking, as if you can practice faster or slower, depending on the energy. But we're going to tie in one thing that's going to require a certain amount of speed. If we go back to the warm-up exercise where we do this kind of turning around the center line, one teacher would say this: the straighter the axle, the faster the wheel can turn. So if you get into precision mechanics, they can manufacture super fine precision metals nowadays where the metal can spin very freely. So the same thing, the more power we have in the head top and the more that we can relax the tailbone, the straighter the center line is. You can think of it, sometimes the Tai Chi classics refer to it as a bow, like a bow and arrow. The string on the bow has tension on both ends. So we want the head top up and the tailbone down. So you should have that sprung feeling of tension in your center line, allowing the arms to float freely around the center. So now let's do some more X-stepping. And we're going to tie in that X, the same swinging, but because X-stepping has a break in the middle, we're going to do what I call a half turn. Maybe it's a full turn, I don't know. But let's look at the pattern, and then we'll tie all of that together for snake flashing its tongue. So from the center, when we step back, we have this cross-body power. So if I just start from the center and I step back, as if my dantian is falling to the position where my rear foot is going to catch it. And I want you to find the timing so that the arms are moving at the same timing as the leg and when the body arrives. And we can change this, by the way. We can go faster, slower, right? Many timings, many variables. But you should feel like, imagine somebody tries to offer you a food that you don't like, right? Or that you know is no good. When you step back, right, you avoid and you make contact, and then you can advance to go forward to do your thing, right? So if you're standing in the center, when you step back, it's free power. It's like free momentum, right? By dropping the center to the back. So we want to carry that. We want to practice, and this is a feeling. So from the center, stepping back, and then when we step forward, the same. So just moving along the diagonal, front right, center, rear left, center, front right, center, rear left. Line up your feet. Keep your center line straight. So extending your neck, relaxing your tailbone on every step, turning around the center. Take your shoulders, elbows, wrists, hands, fingertips offline. Imagine like an ostrich, you have legs and a neck and the arms just turning. And so next, we're going to change. There's one half turn. We step forward, rear right, center, forward, right. Then we're going to combine those two lines. By the way, the ordering for this is not important. I teach the order the way that I do because this is the order that my teacher taught them. You can change it how you like. We can make it so instead of when we step back, we turn this way. When we step back, we can turn the other way. And then we can also vary between the two, right? So there's combinations, the step and which arms turn. Let's just continue with this. So stepping from the center, step back, center, front right, center, half turn, front left, back, center, back, forward, center, forward, back, back, forward. So this feeling of just using the arms while walking, while making a step, is we're going to tie this in to snake flashing its tongue by keeping the momentum. We want to have this turning, but this turning thing in the center is also moving to different direction. So imagine you have like a wrecking ball that's also turning. And so this power coming out from the center and the whole body, we started the class saying there's only one piece. So eventually, if we step back and turn, this is all just one thing, my arms and legs working all as one piece. So instead of thinking of your body like, well, I'm going to turn and the upper part is going to turn here. Imagine you have a rag or a towel and you go to throw it and it has a certain spin to it, right? We're getting, with Tai Chi and martial arts, we want to get to the point where as some other object comes towards us, we can form the shape and mold to it and then allow it to either move forward or control where it's going. So let's do some Tai Chi, snake flashing his tongue. In this posture, we have, it's in the third section, it comes out of hook and whip. And we have the same feeling that we're just practicing with the stepping. So we'll do some just as a Tai Chi posture. So gripping the foot. My feet are facing north. By the way, anytime I'm facing that way, away from my camera, we're going to call that north. If I'm facing the camera south, east, and west, just to make it clear, I may make some type of marking so that we can see. But facing north, we have the Al show us hook. We're going to turn the square, my step 90 degrees to the west. And then snake flashing his tongue. I'm shifting to the rear foot. My right hand is covering, and then my left hand is going to, there's a step with a follow step. It's a thrusting palm, right? And so this, just like this, you can think of, instead of keeping it flat, adding a little bit of curl this way. And if you want to add another dimension of curl, it goes actually this way. So it becomes like a prong, like a tine on a fork, but instead of curling up to hold the food, it's going out to pierce through the center. So hook, turning 90 degrees. This is a fairly standard hook and whip, turning 90. And then for snake flashing his tongue, the right hand covers, and this left hand is sitting back ready. And then pushing off the rear foot, there's a follow step. So the whole body should feel like the power is behind those fingertips. Let's practice slow a few more times. And eventually, we're gonna just like we did with the X stepping, if we step back, it can become very smooth, very relaxed. We have hook, turning 90 degrees. Corner whip, facing west, shifting back, the right hand crosses, the left hand comes underneath. Remember, everything's round, like we're holding the beach ball, yoga ball. And then the left hand going over top, going forward. So remember, the names in the Chinese martial arts, very important, because they give us some idea, some story to be told, or at least some, they give us some clue as to the function or the way a technique is performed. And in this particular technique, snake flashing his tongue. How many here have seen, at least on a video, snake when they're flashing their tongue, right? Anyone seen this? Yeah. So they do that, by the way, to test. It's a temperature. I think it's one of the ways they test temperature, right? Is to see if something is hot or cold, and it's really fast. So the idea for this one is we want to be relaxed so that once everything's set, we can just poke forward, right? Let's practice 2 more times like Tai Chi, and then we'll do some regular stepping. Turning. Keep everything lined up. If you can remember all the Tai Chi principles, tailbone is relaxed, head top is up, cover, forward. And so if I turn 90 degrees each time, hook, and now I turn to the south, and then I cover, and then press. And then from here, I have hook. If I turn 90 degrees, corner whip, cover. Turning 90. And very good, by the way. I see some of you doing the thing. And so, by the way, this one, the follow step is to make it a little bit more dynamic. Sometimes we practice in Tai Chi, it's so boring, right? All this slow movement all the time. And so if you like to practice in martial arts, but in the form, we don't necessarily have to show the follow step. We can simply, if we do hook and whip, we can turn, shift back, and step from here. In what determines whether it's correct is what's happening in your mind. So if you, in the form, like to put a follow step, you can do that. If in your mind, if you're dealing with an opponent and there's only so much room to move, you may not need to take a step, something like this. Before we continue, so far, questions, thoughts, comments? Good. Let's go back to just the basic idea for X stepping. When we step back to the corner and forward, if we step back, we can go forward. If we step forward, we can go forward. This idea is we're timing the turn with the center line. So as I avoid, I'm also covering. And we can make this more effortless, just like by tying in the feeling that we did earlier, right? When you step back, the center turns. But if you notice, it resolves when I say my center turns, if I'm facing forward in this direction. When I step back, my center may turn, but my hips and my focus is still forward. My shoulders here may have turned, but my center and my focus is still forward. In fact, we don't actually need to turn past the gate to allow the momentum to continue. But for martial art, we can always stop at the side of the gate here if we need to, right? And so to make something accurate. But for just casual, the feeling is just this free fall turning. So now when we do snake flashing his tongue, if we have hook and whip, we're sort of weights over the front foot, right? I don't know if you can see my step. My feet are parallel in this direction. My center is straight. I have this round shape. By the way, the same, you may see people do hook and whip. We don't want it to be too straight. In Tai Chi, we never make everything straight. In the Qigong, we may make things over straight if we want to unroll this way, right? But for the martial art, we always have this round feeling. So for the Tai Chi, even if we're doing a very large posture, something hook and whip, this still, if we look from the top down, if I keep my center straight, still has this round. I'm just making this sphere very large. So this is one of the main principles for Tai Chi. In every posture, it's round. Even when it seems like we have repulsed the monkey, we could press this arm straight, but it's maybe too extreme. We always want to have a little bit of room for spare. So from hook, from corner whip, shift back, stepping forward. The feeling, turning, step back, forward. Just like a normal casual step, instead of trying to remember all the Tai Chi principles. This is why we practice 10,000 times slowly, so that when we do it casually, if we're here and there's something, we can cover and go forward. Does everyone understand, at least have a basic concept of the martial art idea of what's happening in this posture? At the very, very least, imagine something is in front of you and you don't like it, so you want to cover it. And so to cover it, we can use that action of covering to actually move it past our gate and then replace it with the thing that we like here. In this form, I keep the hand down this way, they're connected. It's like a bagua, this. And you can also, I think we mentioned in the other class, after the hook and whip, once you cover, you can change both palms, right? Snake has two, they have a forked tongue, they have two of those things. So the most basic is a yin and yang palm. One is down, one is facing up. Even though this may look very pointy, we want to have that circular shape to keep the Tai Chi feeling and then pressing forward. So many different ways to do it. The feeling is the same from hook and whip. My center is turning, cover. And then once it's covered, going forward. Let like we said, if this is martial art, if this is something that's coming towards me, right? If I just cover here, right, this stick, if it's going towards my center, if I just cover and try to go forward, it won't be very effective, right? It's gonna hit me. So we may have to continue that turning. So this momentum will clear this out to the side. This is the martial arts. Remember the Tai Chi form, we're just doing a posture. But in real life, once this is here, I can move this out of the way and go to the next one. So depending on what you're doing, if you're practicing at home and you like to practice your balance, you can practice very, very slow, like some type of yoga, qigong. But if you playing martial arts, right? If you're playing with your kids and you try to do Tai Chi movement, they're gonna push you over. If you have an opponent and you move like this, it's not gonna work. So the Tai Chi form, we're practicing writing perfectly. So just like calligrapher, they're writing the same character 10,000 times. And then later, when they're not thinking about it, it just comes out naturally. So if we have the alignment, if we keep the alignment, and then moving into other things, the calligrapher also, when you go to cook, you have the detail, right? If you go to paint something, you have the detail. So Tai Chi, improving this idea of changing something from practice into purpose. We have a purpose for it. By the way, snake flashing his tongue, one of the things that we should talk about is using the Tai Chi form for everyday applications. This is a movement. You can open something, reach in, right? Keeping the center line straight, step forward, using your center momentum. By the way, I think we have about 15 minutes left. Let's do the first and second section, and then we'll come back and see what kind of time we have. Questions, thoughts, comments? Cool. Pick a space facing north. By the way, when I'm facing the other direction, I took the other camera off. The idea was, well, I need to be able to see the other way, not necessarily if the screen is there. So if you guys want that back, we can talk about it, but I don't know how useful it is. So bring the head top up, relax the tailbone, bring everything together into the center. And then gripping your feet, opening to the side, relax your tailbone. Even standing, even if your tailbone is sunk, imagine the vertical energy. Grasp the sparrow's tail on the right, step forward, ward off. Breathing, grasp the sparrow's tail. Square step, line up your feet if you know how. Turning around the center. Keep your hips level the whole time. Keep your shoulders level the whole time. Long breathing, this is push. Look left. Glance right. Double push. Horizontal split. Hook. Single whip. Turning to the north, keep everything level, vertical. Split, square step. Lift hands to up posture. Turning 90 degrees to the west. This is crane, opening the wings. Breathing deep. Press to the center. Holding the moon in the chest. This is very similar to what we just worked on, except now after we brush off, the left hand covers and the right hand comes up through the center, and it's not a spear fist, it's an unrolling punch. holding the moon in the chest. Fan man shui. Corner. Grip your feet. Open. Square step to the punch. Rufong subi, as if enclosed, open on one side, press, press. We're going to turn to the north. This is return tiger to mountain. Bring the feet together, T-step or more. Grip the ground, relax the tailbone, straighten the spine. Palm press, Xuan Sen Pansheng, roll back. This is push, and then look left, it's just turning, glance right, turning around the center, double press. Turn 90 degrees facing east. We have hook. And then we're going to turn 180 degrees. Take as many steps as you need. This is turn back to look at the moon. Very similar, right hand covers, left hand spear fist through the center. Repulse the monkey 3 times. 1. Scoop, open the right side, step back, press. Scoop, open the left side, press forward. Breathing deep. This is a Sherifei. Diagonal flying. Needle at the bottom of the seat. Keep your back and neck straight if possible. San Tong Bei. Turning, block, punch, kick. Square step, Lan is open, Shui is punch. Keep your head up, facing forward. This is Di Bu Hua. Change step, return to deep breathing to roll back. Press. Push. Left, glance right, Xuan An. The power from horizontal split hands goes from one corner to the other. We're facing due north, feet lined up accordingly. Hook, side whip, and this is cloud hands in the second section. So press right, breathing, step, and press left. Press, turning, step, and press. Keeping the feet and hips lined up in line, east and west, the upper body is turning. Gripping the ground, hook, this is corner whip. And this is Gao Tan Ma. And Gao Tan Ma number 2, facing south. And then turning to the east, brush knee, press, brush knee, C-step, press, brush knee, straight step, punch. This is turning, block, punch, kick, facing west, square step, Wan, Shui, So Hua. And the kick is facing west. We're going to turn 180 degrees for Da Li is the big roll back. Keep your spine in line. Breathing deep, Da Li, big roll back the other direction. Left foot steps behind the right, breathing. Scoop the moon from the ocean. Kick, brush, Power going on the upper side of the forearms for 2 wins in the ear. Stepping back, grip your right foot, connect with the left side, kick with the left side, stepping 1, 2, 360 degrees, standing on the left foot, connect right, kick right, cross kick, step, lan, shui, breathing, rufeng, press, press, turning back to the north, grip the ground, return tiger to mountain, rolling the hands, unrolling the hands, bring the left side back to the right side. Okay, we actually have a few minutes left. So to sort of make things even more simple yet, Tai Chi is a practice that works. And on some levels, it's difficult to understand how it works, and on other levels, it's very easy. We can see the gentle movement, how it's good for the body, and how it can increase the relaxation, increasing circulation. And practicing the postures like snake flashing its tongue, there's another sort of benefit for it. There's a movement at the end of the form, which is punch right and left. And if we do this correctly, if you line your feet up parallel and make them at least shoulder width apart, but on this one you can make them a little bit more. And you relax your tailbone. If you sit your tailbone down and you have this part so that your upper body is straight, relax your shoulders. And then if you take your hands, just like we're doing grasp the sparrow's tail, and from the elbows, open them this way, but then keep some power. So, and for Aaron, you have 1 foot forward, that's actually okay. You can make it into a square. But if you leave this to be relaxed like this, it's not very powerful. But imagine if it's expanded, like you're carrying a very big beach ball, very big yoga ball, something like this, and you have these fists. This is very powerful posture, okay? When you see, if you work in film industry for a couple decades, you see the same movie posters all the time, right? Every time you see a superhero movie, watch, they're standing like this. This is a powerful posture. This is a position of power, right? So I know it's funny, right? Especially if you travel back, right? Remember the old school, like black and white ones, and they have these super skin tight, and they're actually not that fit. You know, the guy's probably been whatever. Anyway, but Tai Chi is powerful just to do it. So when we practice snake flashes its tongue, right? This should feel very powerful. It should feel like it's a martial art. And if you like to practice at home, because not everyone has punching bag. If you do have punching bag, you have to do special conditioning for your fingertips to protect them. You can hang a piece of paper and practice how close can you get to it without hitting it? Can you actually cut it in half with your fingertips? Many different ideas for training that you can practice while you're in quarantine. You don't need a special bag. You don't need any special equipment. We can be practicing the timing, cultivating power, whether we're doing punch right and left, and we have this feeling of power this way, or whether it's just simply this. Well, and this self-defense applies to, like we said, when you're out on the street and you're just trying to get somewhere walking, and the people handing you brochures, right? This kind of, you can move something out of your way. All the way, it's very simple day-to-day interaction to the things that we have in our mind. We can use the same kind of Tai Chi theory. Before we close, questions, thoughts, comments, ideas. We have about 1 minute left, so let's do a little bit of Qigong breathing. Take a nice tall horse stance, make it comfortable so that you can relax your tailbone. The same thing, if we do any of these movements, we're trying to keep the hips in line. They may shift from side to side, but without turning. If they do turn, we want to protect the knees and make sure that we don't raise one hip or other in the turn. And so starting on one side or the other, doesn't matter, full breathing, the same way that we started, long, relaxed breathing. You've just been working out, so imagine now's the time to replenish your energy for the day. You have the rest of your day ahead of you. And so the goal for Tai Chi is to have your body relaxed so that the acupuncture meridians are open naturally. And so as you go about your day, as you breathe, you don't lose the energy. Breathe at your own pace. Remember the center line, the axle. The straighter it is, the easier it is to turn, and the easier it is for the rest of the components to work. And wherever you're at on the next one, we're going to change directions. I'm not counting these. On this side, breathing. I want you to think about, you have a yin and yang idea. One is increasing something, and on the other side, it's decreasing something. On one side, it's raising something up, and on the other side, it's lowering something down. On one side, up. On the other side, down. The energy is doing the same thing. Go at your own pace. And it's time, we're going to do 3 more. So make it the most relaxed breathing, whatever pace you're going at. And on the last one, just go to the center and let your hands float. Imagine that you're so inflated with energy that you can feel it supporting the arms. And bring everything to the center. So allow your feet to touch in the middle. Bring your hands to the dantian. And then bring your hands back together in front of the heart chakra. Let your shoulders, elbows relax. Calibrate. Push up through the back of the head, down through the heels, grip the feet, relax your tailbone. Take a deep breath. Move your mind into the dantian. Imagine all the movement, the ideas, the concepts from today, and breathing deep as all the chi going into the center. Take a second internally to smile to yourself. If you can position your eyes, your physical eyes, looking downwards towards your center, take a deep breath and then internally take a second to give thanks to yourself. One more last long deep breath, and that's it. It's time. It's actually a few minutes after. So if you have questions, comments, contact me, text me, email me.
Ryan,
Thank you.
thank you.